Welcome to Intuitive Transformations with your host, Sylvia Henderson, and discover tools, wisdom, and inspiration that will empower you to transform your life. Sylvia is an intuitive life coach and energy healer with a growing practice that is focused on empowering others to be more of who they want to be. For the next hour, join Sylvia and explore and unravel anything in the way of you creating the life that you would love to live on the OMTimes Radio Network.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Intuitive Transformations radio show, where you will find tools that you can use to change and transform your life right here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness at OMTimes.com. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I am an intuitive and an energy healer. The processes that I use are pretty diverse and unique, so if you would like to learn more about me and the work that I do, then I invite you to visit my website at intuitivetransformations.net. That's intuitivetransformations with an S.net. So today is September 11th, 2016, and it is exactly 15 years after the world witnessed the tragic and unexplainable loss of thousands of lives as the Twin Towers in New York collapsed. On that day, the world experienced a tremendous energetic shift in consciousness that actually exposed the darker aspects of humankind's shadow nature that's based on fear and anger and separation. Since 9/11 happened, we have witnessed an increase in the frequency of the expression of fear and anger, quickening and intensifying in a wide variety of events. So what does this all mean? As I have mentioned in previous shows, as consciousness continues to accelerate and raise vibrationally, that the fear, anger, and hate is continuing to surface only so that it can be released on a very grand and global scale. What the collective consciousness of human beings is releasing is our old and ancient story and belief that we are separate from God, separate from our good, and separate from each other, when in fact we are each a unique expression of the divine, just as each wave is a unique expression of the ocean. Fear is an illusionary construct of third-dimensional consciousness. And as we release fear through the power of forgiveness of the past, we are able to shift out of the conditioned limitations and mindset that the illusion of fear is real. And that allows us to step into the truth, which is that there is only one vibration and one frequency, and it is unconditional love and light. And each one of us, each one of you, is that light, just as each wave is also the ocean. 9/11 was a terrible and tragic event that we will never forget. But it was also one of the many alarm bells that is awakening human consciousness. And we are now witnessing this awakening arising and circling the globe. As the collective consciousness of human beings continue to awaken and journey back to the absolute truth of love and light, the purging of fearful thoughts and our judgments of right and wrong will continue to project out in the world until we have completely released it and forgiven it. So it is very, very important that you begin to know and understand who you are authentically. Each one of us is an eternal being of light, and our soul chose to incarnate on the planet during this very unique time of tremendous change and transformation for a reason. Therefore, it is vitally important for you to remember why you came here during this time and what you are here to do. There are many paths that you can take to find your way to your purpose. And today, we are going to talk about one of those pathways. Joining me today is Rhys Thomas, founder of the Rhys Thomas Institute of Energy Medicine and the creator of the Rhys Method, a powerful system of self-discovery, transformation, and healing. And he is also the author of the international best-selling book, Discover Your Purpose, How to Use the 5 Life Purpose Profiles to Unlock Your Hidden Potential and Live the Life You Were Meant to Live. Now, before I bring Rhys on to join us, let me tell you a little bit more about him. Rhys Thomas is a visionary author, speaker, trainer, and coach in the personal growth and energy medicine field. The Rhys Method is taught exclusively at the Rhys Thomas Institute of Energy Medicine through the Rhys Thomas Coaching Programs and online products and programs. Rhys's greatest gift is his ability to awaken you to the deepest inner knowing of who you were born to be and what you are here to do. Rhys offers step-by-step guidance that allows you to let go of confusion, playing it small, and those other self-sabotaging strategies and behaviors that we use. From his work with thousands, Rhys has discovered how to help people achieve financial freedom, better personal and business relationships, and better health, all 3 of which lead to a life of fulfillment and satisfaction. So without further ado, Rhys Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Sylvia, it's great being on.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. So understanding our life purpose is a tremendous gift as so many people are functioning and building their life and future based upon what they were told they should or should not be. You know, some of us grew up in homes where our families were very focused on making sure we were doctors and lawyers or nurses or some other profession that they felt was valuable to them. So versus giving them, this did not allow us to really choose for ourselves. I mean, so much of what we do as adults is from our conditioned mindset from our childhood. So, Rhys, before we dig into this topic, let's talk a little bit about you. You are an energy medicine practitioner and an expert in this field. So how long have you been doing this work?
I am in my 16th year of working with energy medicine. And before that, I was working with energy medicine. I was a second-degree black belt in the martial arts, and had been a professional athlete, and had really studied energy, but not formally. I loved chi energy, and I had studied Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and all of those folks in my 20s. And I was a coach. I was an athletics coach. I was a tennis professional, coaching both national professional players as well as just regular everyday people at a country club. And so I've been really working with energy for my whole lifetime, and I've always been able to see it as well. So, and I didn't know I could see it until I went to energy medicine school, but I'd always been able to see a quality in people that was sort of unique to them, and I would teach to that rather than teaching some structure, sort of like this is how you take your racket back, or do this. If I was teaching tennis, this is the way everybody hits a backhand if you want to do it well. I much more was connected with feeling what was deepest within them and how they moved and how they liked to move and how they, there was sort of a personality, there was a quality within them, a character in them that I tried to always get to come out and play, and never really realized that was seeing the soul, but later on I figured out, oh, that's what I've been doing. And seeing the soul is to see this quality that is the person's deeper purpose. This character in each one of us comes into the world already formed and ready to go, with the perfect body and the perfect situation, the perfect parents, the perfect everything to do it. And then we make some tough choices, like you said, as children, to reject that quality within us to get along and to cope and to be loved.
Yeah, it's pretty primal within us. It's how I think we survived in ancient times in terms of fitting in with our tribe, so that we, stay cohesive in our community. But our world has changed significantly, allowing us much more freedom. So, how did you step out of being a tennis pro and then step into this other kind of realm of moving energy and working with energy?
Well, the reason I run an energy medicine school now and made that shift was that I was trying to be what, like you said, children are told what they're supposed to be, and whether your parents say it or not, culture says it. And I grew up, and boys are supposed to be either achievers or leaders, and women are supposed to be either caretakers or deep feelers, lovers. They're supposed to have that soft quality. And it was never really okay when I was growing up to be sort of, the computer geek or we didn't even have it back then, but sort of like the space shot and out there. And so that wasn't even, that was never really allowed. And so everybody was sort of playing their roles, and I was playing my role. And I thought, well, I've got to be a competitive athlete. I've got to be a good businessman. And so I went through my life trying to be a tough guy. I've studied the martial arts to think I'll become a strong fighter, and I studied at the best school, one of the best schools in the world, and discovered that I really was a lover, not a fighter, and that all of the intention that you have in the world to be something that you're not is impossible. It's like I used the example of the Olympians. Imagine having a we're about to go to break. I'll do the Olympians when we get back.
That sounds great, Rhys. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back in just a moment.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. Deborah Livingston is an award-winning intuitive psychic medium whose international services include mediumship, spiritual assessment, animal communication, and spiritual mentoring. She is a published author and a trained shaman. Deborah provides evidential messages from spirit and departed loved ones. Learn more at deblivemedium.com. That's DEBLIV medium.com.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Come on, smile. Oh, honey, he's still not smiling.
Maybe he's not a smiler.
Yeah, maybe he's just not a happy baby.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Or maybe he's teething.
Maybe it's just a phase.
Maybe he has autism, and we can definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to find out more about autism. No big, joyful smiles by 6 months is one early sign. Learn the others at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Well, we're back. This is Sylvia Henderson with the Intuitive Transformation Show, and I have with me today my guest, Rhys Thomas. We're talking about his brand new book, Discover Your Purpose, How to Use the 5 Life Purpose Profiles to Unlock Your Hidden Potential and Live the Life You Were Meant to Live. And Rhys, before we went into the break, you were just sharing about how you evolved from these roles that you were portraying, and I call them roles because it wasn't really your authentic truth or what you believed you should be in order to meet the expectations of others, to step into more of this authentic role of being an energy medicine healer and having your own school.
Yeah, and I was just saying that there's a very easy visualization. We all just watched the Olympics. And of course the most obvious ones were the swimming and the gymnastics. Those were the most the most prime time things. And just imagine that somehow you took one of the little gymnasts, these 4'8" girls, and said, okay, and they're incredible athletes, and had they been as children, you would say, okay, well, you're going to be a professional swimmer. And then you took one of those tall, 6 foot tall, long-armed, broad-shouldered swimmers, and said, okay, now you're going to be a gymnast. It would have never worked, and those are world-class athletes. There's no chance ever that gymnast could have ever become a professional swimmer, and those swimmers could have never become a professional gymnast because they weren't born to it. They didn't have the body for it. They didn't have the energy for it. They didn't have the temperament for it. But they had the perfect temperament, and everybody out there, and you notice that most of them all look exactly the same in each of the events because there's a very specific body type that goes along with different purposes in life. And one of the things that I discovered when I discovered energy medicine for myself was that I had been really trying to play in the wrong event. I'd been trying to be a businessman and a tough guy and a strong martial artist and be organized and run a big business, run multiple businesses. And I was trying so hard to do that because that was the event that I was told that I was expected to do well in and to do. And the truth was that it wasn't true. I am much more spiritually connected and connected to a creative awakening type of a teaching. I was teaching. I'd been teaching my whole life, and that part of it I got right. But what I'm teaching had to be. I had to define that. I defined that within myself. And when I found that people weren't understanding me. I had a very successful business, but I also was having chronic illness, lower back pain, sinus infections, various different things that the doctors just couldn't put their finger on what was happening, and issues with in my relationships, and certainly issues at my work around sort of I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and often I felt very misunderstood, and of course, and working at a country club for many years, I'm a very creative person. The way I did budgets and the way they did budgets were very different things. So I sort of understood at some level that I don't belong and that there was something really big missing, but I couldn't figure it out because I was actually really good at what I did. I was actually able to survive and make money at what I did, but it never felt right. And it wasn't until I learned about energy medicine and that there are different energetic makeups, and there are 5 different types of people, literally almost 5 different species of people on the planet, and each of the 5 have a very specific energy system that uniquely has to become. You need to become conscious of it, but you also need to know, that really excels in this area. It's like your Olympic event. Are you gymnast, or are you track and field, or are you swimming? There's these 5 elements are like that. They're these big, broad, sort of qualities. And then your unique set of qualities that go along with that may mean that you are, the long jumper or the high jumper or in track and field, or you're the sprinter in swimming or the butterfly. And each of us have our unique quality, but we have to know what event we're supposed to be in, because most of us were told that we're supposed to be in an event that we weren't born to be in. And I run an energy medicine school. I run the Rhys Thomas Institute of Energy Medicine, and we do about 120 students a year in the program, and about 90% of the people in the program are women. And out of those women, which are around about 100 women in the program, I would say that 70% of them fall in either the leader or the achiever category, which are the stronger qualities, which I was saying that's what the men were supposed to be doing. But because they grew up in a society where it's better for women to caretake or be softer, they felt very embarrassed about this quality within them. And even though many of them had successful jobs and positions, there was almost like a guilt and a shame around being who they really were. And one of the greatest parts about doing the work that I get to do is I get to give people permission to be who they've always been and who they've always known they are.
So let's talk about the 5 profiles that you've identified in your book. I think what you've just shared is a great segue into that. There's the Creative Idealist, the Emotional Intelligence Specialist, the Team Players, the Charismatic Leader Charmers, and the Knowledgeable Achievers. So can you give us a little synopsis of each one?
Sure, and we all know these people, and we're if we're around people right now, you can just look around and see them. You know, people that are very creative. They tend not to be totally present. They tend to be tall and thin. Often their eyes are looking up at the sky. If it's a child, they tend to be the dreamers, the daydreamers, and then they grow up to be dreamers and daydreamers. And oftentimes when you're talking to them, they're like, "Oh, what did you say?" They're not paying attention all the time, and they get very distracted. And they aren't. They kind of are invisible at times in a crowd. They kind of disappear. And they're the types of people that can have a lot of anxiety and things as well. But generally you know them because they're musical or artistic, things like that. So you have this, and you know people like that. You know people that are in that category. And then you know the people that are super, super soft and really emotional and sensitive. They're sensitive about everything. The cold, hot, what you say to them, just when you say something, they'll say, "Oh, you didn't mean that, did you?" And they really, and they're incredibly overly sensitive to life. They're often overwhelmed by life. And we know people like that, and their bodies tend to be average in sort of build, but very soft, more like no fast twitch muscles at all. They're very soft and gentle. These are gentle souls. These people, what we call the emotional intelligence specialists, are people that have never punched anybody before, never grabbed anybody, never done anything violent. They're soft, gentle people that truly don't have an aggressive bone in their body. And then there are what we call the team players, who are people that are much, they're strong-bodied people. They're much more square in the upper body. The men will have sort of like the barrel chest. And they're strong, big, strong legs, strong arms, because their purpose in life is to caretake and to support other people. And they have nice, beautiful round faces that have a big smile. And we know these people because they're the people that you consider that they're your friend, or they always have your back. They're always there for you, and they're the people that will when someone's sick, they'll always be over there with a casserole. They'll always, and more than even that, if your car breaks down, they'll come and help you jack the car up. They're always there to help, and they tend to give more than they have at times, which then, makes it very hard for them. They feel like doormats at times in their lives, like they can't say no and they have to say yes. So these are these people that we know that are just givers and givers and givers and givers, and often they get involved with people that are takers and takers, and they get in these vicious cycles of giving all the time and not being able to really have something for themselves. And so that's the third type, and we know these three. So those are the first three are the creative people, the deep-feeling people, and the caretaking people, and people that are just born to help others. And then the other two are the two stronger qualities, which are the achievers, who tend to be very evenly built. They're very imbalanced. They tend to, the chiropractors, they never needed the chiropractor because they've always stood up perfectly straight, and they're very smart and intelligent, and actually our school systems are designed by they call these people knowledgeable achievers. It's designed by knowledgeable achievers for knowledgeable achievers. And they learn quickly. They've got minds that are very quick, and they assess and they compartmentalize very easily. And so schoolwork is very easy for them. They tend to get straight A's through school. They tend to be higher education, college education, as well as doctors, lawyers, whatever. Any education is easy for them, as well as then business is easy for them, because businesses are successful based on structure and organization and being willing to follow through and be disciplined. And they are a disciplined group of people that are good athletes as well as good business people. They're good at whatever they do. They're good at doing that. And so we know people like that, and all their hair is always in perfect place. They always dress really well. Their colors always match. They're very they sort of keep it all together. And then we have the people that we call the charismatic leaders, and they're leaders. And now they will have a body type. They can have the body type like any of the other people. They can have the tall and thin of the creative idealist, the soft body, the bigger, stronger body of the team player, and then sort of like the perfect body, the perfect athletic body of the knowledgeable achiever. They can have any of those because they're very dynamic in their lives, and they will be called to lead and be in charge in one of those dimensions, and so they will tend to have a very flexible type of body. They can have a lot of weight and then lose all the weight, and they are people that have this huge energy, and they're very charismatic and beautiful people that we want to be around. So afterward, I'll pull them all together after the break.
Thank you, Rhys. I'm excited to hear the rest about this. We'll be back in just a moment, everyone. Please stay tuned to Intuitive Transformations on OMTimes.com. We'll be back in a moment.
The cutting edge of conscious radio.
Mercury retrograde. Thank you, Chris. Okay, everyone, we are back, and we are having some fun with Mercury being in retrograde. I probably should have given some honor to Mercury, because maybe it wouldn't be messing with us right now if I had. But we are back, and Rhys, before we went to the break, you had just finished outlining each of the unique personality profiles or life purpose profiles. So you were going to tie them in together, but before you do that, I have a quick question for you. So is it possible, though, to have more than one of these qualities strongly present within your personality that might make finding your life purpose a little bit challenging?
Sure. Well, especially if you're a charismatic leader. Remember I said that the charismatic leaders, which I didn't finish up with, but the charismatic leader quality are people that are every actor you see on TV or on the movies. They're all charismatic leaders. No matter what they look like, no matter what they do, they're all leaders. They're all actors and actresses. and they use their bodies in a very dynamic way to inspire us. And then there are also the politicians. Every politician is a charismatic leader, and they are also. I would say that except for maybe the long distance runners and the high jumpers, who definitely have some creative idealists in there, the tall and thin. Every athlete you saw at the Olympics was a charismatic leader, had at least a primary charismatic leader, because the charismatic leader is the one that they're the gladiators in the world. They're the ones that go out and fight. They're the ones that can seduce us on TV. They're the ones who can convince us to vote for them and stand up and speak and motivate people to do great things. So yes, for certain, charismatic leaders always will have trouble figuring out who they are. One, because they don't like to be told who they are. They like to tell everybody else who they are. But more importantly, they are very dynamic. So with one person, they can be very seductive and warm. With another person, they can be strong and almost like a bully. And with other people, they can caretake them and protect them. So they will tend to, when they take my profile assessment, which is in my book, Discover Your Purpose, they often come out as a lot of them. And so the truth is that we all are creative. We all have deep feelings. We all caretake people at times. We all have to get organized and achieve at times. And we all have to lead at times. We all have to do all five. And just like in the world, we have these 5 qualities of people and each one of them really needs to step up, because right now the world is being run only by the leaders and the achievers, and they're doing a really bad job of it because they only value success and control. And they don't value real creativity or real emotion and heart, and they certainly don't value people who sacrifice themselves for other people. It's all about me, and getting what I can get, and let's get the bigger yacht. And so we need a balance between them, and then recognize each one needs to lead in their own way. And like we inside of ourselves, we have to come into balance with the fact that we do have a little bit of each one of these, and 1 or 2 of them are very strong within us. And those strong qualities are really the ones that are guiding us to see and to sort of build our life purpose on. And until you figure out which one of those is your real guiding light, not the one you necessarily have tried, because I tried to be the knowledgeable achiever my whole life. My mom had a strong knowledgeable achiever and the doer, and I thought that's the way to be, and that's what a guy's supposed to be, and that's what we do. And so learning that and trying to be that for a lot of people confuses the issue. But to do the work and to really feel who you are deep inside, that's really how you know your purpose. You don't know your purpose through your behavior. And so the profile assessment that I give to people is not a behavioral based, like Enneagram and Myers-Briggs and DISC, which are very popular behavioral profiling systems, are based on the mind. And, of course, the mind, as Einstein said, the same mind that creates a problem can't solve it. So if I take an assessment that's based on my behavior, which was created by my mind, and then I take the assessment, of course, it's going to tell me that I am what I think I am. And then it'll actually tell me how to be better at what I think I am, rather than what I really am, which is this much deeper quality, and one of these 5, the creative, the emotional, and the caretaking, the achieving, or the leading. But those aren't things that you do in behavior. It's the things. It's what you're called to. It's what you're pulled to from deep within.
So what are some of the things that people will come across as they complete your profile assessment that will give them information that bypasses the traditional, like you have already shared, the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram, that does look at behaviors in terms of identifying personality trait types?
Well,
what else do you look at with your profile assessment?
Well, the profile, the free profile assessment that people can take from my website, which is RhysThomasInstitute.com, and it's just profile assessment. And there's a free profile assessment and then a full profile assessment. The free one gives you sort of the basic understanding of which ones, the top ones that are in that you have, the most, the ones that are the biggest players in your life, and that is where you start, and then you read about them. And what happens when you read about each of these qualities in my book, Discover Your Purpose, we also have to embrace that we have this light, as you were talking about. Each of us have this amazing light. But we also have these much more animal instincts, which is called the lower self. So we all have a lower self and a higher self. So we have this survival instinct of the lower self, which is innate within us because we have a human body, and human bodies have to survive. And each of us have a quality of how we're going to survive, and a body that is designed to survive at this time in this space in the world. And we also have a higher self quality, a way that we think, a way that we download spiritual information, and we gain our insights in life. And everybody is psychic. Everybody says, "Oh, I want to be so psychic." It's the truth is that we're so psychic that we do so many things to block our psychic, because being psychic really just means knowing yourself. When being psychic for other people is wonderful, and it's a great thing that the sixth chakra can do. But the truth is that what we really need to be psychic about is who we actually are, because in each moment, who we are is what we need to discover, so we can know how to make choices, know what job to take, know how to bring forward our deepest gift, our deliverable, which is not a product or a service. It's a quality of transformation that you give to other people. So when you're done working with somebody, they walk away and they feel deeply loved, or they feel like they have hope again, or they feel that they're stronger than they thought of themselves before. So there's some deep innate quality within you that comes through either being super creative, or deep feeling and loving, or caretaking and compassionate and seeing the best in other people, or achieving and organizing and structuring and doing your personal best as a model for others, or leading, where you are literally inspiring other people to see something greater within them, and to also follow your mission in life, and as a way for them to focus their energy in the world. And so each of those is a very unique calling. And when you read about that, what happens is that you will feel one there's a body type that goes with each one. And so often people, they say, well, I think I'm this, I've been doing this my whole life, but I don't have that body type. But the truth is that your energy is first. Your body is the result of this energy body that you have. And if your energy body needs your body to have a certain shape and energy and move energy a certain way, of course that's what you'll get at the first chakra level. The first chakra is just part of your energy field. It isn't separate from your energy field. And so this is the difference between the biggest difference between the behavioral studies, or the behavioral tests, and mine is that you can test. I would have tested 10 times over for knowledgeable achieving, or the super achiever, and organizational type of thinking. But I didn't really have the body type for that. I'm much taller and thinner and leaner and not as well balanced physically. So there's a number of ways that you then once you've taken the assessment, you go in and you sort of say, oh, these are the ways I feel about being myself, rather than rationally, behaviorally figuring yourself out.
So once you have this information and you've gone through your assessment and you've identified what your life purpose profile is, this your unique quality, there is this resistance to change that always comes up once we decide to make a change. And a lot of that is that we're bumping up against a lot of social taboos, about living your life independently and being, in some cases, it might be completely different than what you're doing today. And in some cases, it might be a marginal shift. So can you talk a little bit about some of the amazing tools that you offer in your book? Because there's meditation, there's all these great energy exercises, and how people can use that to help them move through that resistance. And actually, we're going to be going to a break in about a minute. So just kind of an overview maybe, and then we can go into further detail after the break.
Yeah, just an overview. Yes, I give. There are a number of exercises. Every chapter is just loaded with exercises and processes that you go through. And there's a very important meditation called your secret place meditation, which teaches you this. You have a place that you were and a way that you were as a child that actually you can go back and feel what it's really going to be like when you are when you're living your life purpose, because you did it for a little while as a child, and that's a very important element in transformation. You cannot transform by thinking, because the mind itself can't come up with another way of thinking or feeling than it already has. You have to have some sort of an awakening or an epiphany that you have this full body experience of something, and then you sort of know what you can go toward. So if you're going to live your life purpose, you can't, as an adult, start thinking, well, if I try this or I try that, and the trial and error thing, it'll never work. You have to have a experience of what it is like before you can fully embody it, before you can really bring it into you. So a lot of the exercises that we do in the book and in the school that I run, a 3-year healer training, is to teach you and to give you experiences of what it's like to really embody your essence, your power, your truth, and then recognize that is a yes in your body. And then when you're trying to be anybody that you aren't, that constriction that you have is a no, and you have to be able to move toward the yes and away from the no.
And you also have to be aware enough, which is what I love about your book, is all of the processes and the meditations. It really does teach the awareness. It's self-awareness is what it is. And how long then does it take for someone to be able to move from, okay, I've identified my profile. You've just mentioned that you have a 3-year school, but that's to train people to actually do the work, right?
Yes, and it's really a training in awakening. The book is the first step, and if you get the book and you start reading about the profiles, you really learn about the profiles. But the profiles are the rock, right? The profiles are the foundational purpose. They're like the contracts. Right, you get the perfect body and the perfect set of contracts, the perfect parents, the perfect time you're born. It's like your star chart. It's like the whole universe conspires to create you in that moment, right? And you get your star chart. But the truth is that you have a point inside of you, an energetic point that we call the physical life purpose point, or martial artists call it the Dantian, that is literally creating a star chart for you right now. Oh, right now. It's literally your
in the present moment, right?
This present moment, right? It creates you solidly in the present moment, brand new in the present moment. Just like the universe has never been the same twice, neither have you. And the particles, the quantum particles that are you literally rent for like trillionths of a second are being rented by that point in your body, by that consciousness. And so the next level is to understand that your chakra system has to serve your purpose. It's not the other way around. And so if you don't know your purpose, if you don't know your purpose, you'll never understand why you have the chakras you have or why they behave the way they do and why they attract what they attract. So many people look at their life and they say, well, that shouldn't have happened, right? And that's a really tough statement for people because, so that means if you look back at any part of your life and you say, well, that shouldn't have happened. That was a terrible thing and it shouldn't have happened. I mean, we're talking about 911.
Like 9/11. Yeah.
Like 9/11, right. That shouldn't have happened. And to believe deeply that shouldn't have happened, and I'm not saying that it was a good thing, but it, like you said, it did really it began an enormous process within people. So everything happens for a reason in a universe where there can be no mistakes. And so when you believe that things in your life weren't supposed to happen, you have to live in fear in the present moment.
Yeah.
Because
you're absolutely right.
Because you're a person who believes that now something in the future might happen that shouldn't happen either. And one of the greatest things about the
past and project our future based upon our past experiences.
Right. And one of the most powerful things that the profiles teach you, and that then when you learn the chakra system as a servant of your purpose rather than its own purpose, what you then see is that the wounds you took in your chakras, the wounds you took at each level of your consciousness, whether it be physical, emotional, in your actions, in your relationships, and how you were taught to speak, or all of these different chakra levels, the wounds you took in there were very specific to what you're here to share in the world, and when you were rejected for it or not seen for that, that's when you took the biggest wounds. So anything you're here on the planet to share, my creativity, my dreamer that I was. I had this, was constantly dreaming as a child, and I hid that from people because I thought, that was not going to get accepted. It was, nobody wants to, and my mom was super doer, and I was always spaced out, and I was like, banging my head on things and falling down, and I was like, oh my God, I can't show that anymore. I have to choose not to be that. So I talk about vows in the book, these powerful elements that when you're a child, we all are faced with the most impossible choice. We have to choose to be this non-form that we're born to be. We're born, and we know as a child we're just this non-form. We're just alive. We're not a boy or a girl. We're not anything. We're just alive. And then later on, our parents are like, no, you're a boy, you wear blue, or you're a girl, you wear pink, and this is where you behave, and this is what you do, and this is how culture goes, and this is our religion, this is how we speak. All of these things we learn, and each one of those major elements, which are all chakras, we had to make the choice between being who we actually are, which is this non-form that serves this higher purpose, or be loved.
Yeah.
And when we choose to be loved,
Go ahead.
Are we out of time? I think we went.
No, we're doing great because keep talking, Rhys. We actually are having, as again, everyone listening, Mercury retrograde, but nothing happens by accident. Everything is perfect in divine order, and because I think that Rhys's message just needs to be expressed the way he's sharing it, and maybe that's why we're not having a commercial break tonight. But keep going, Rhys, because this is really fascinating.
Yeah. So that's really, we end up we know when we're born that we feel our purpose when we're a child. We're not thinking. We don't have cognitive process as a child. We literally just are who we are. And when we learn the cognitive process, and then we learn to recognize ourselves, which is our mind starts remembering who we are, and then we remember why we remember who we are and how we did things before, and then that becomes who we are. That's not how the child that's not how the core soul quality within us actually works. The core soul quality in us, when we were children, we woke up in the morning and we were like, and you look around, you go, oh my God, I'm back. I'm like, whoa, another day doing this. This is awesome. And they jump up and down in their bed and they run around and they do this and they're totally alive. And, you know, and
they're in the moment too.
They're in the moment. And who they are is life itself. And the way, and nothing's out of place with them. You know, there's just like, this is it. This is what's happening. This is life. And each of us need to get back in touch with that. And that's ultimately what takes the 3 years of training in the school, because it takes about 3 years of sort of sticking with something. I don't believe in, and I did for many years. I did lots of weekend workshops and single trainings. And it wasn't until I did a 4-year training with this system of every about 6 to 7 weeks there was a class. And I found out later that spiritual practice of having classes at that interval actually work on the neurosynapses. You can have an amazing experience at a workshop, which we give every 5 times a year, and at the school, and you will completely disconnect these mental synapses as to the way the world is. But within 4 to 5 or 6 weeks, those neurosynapses begin to reattach. And that's why you just can't sustain it. You can have the biggest aha moment, the total enlightenment, everything, and then you're back arguing with your spouse within like 5 or 6 weeks. And you can't figure out why. Why did it go back? Well, it's because the system has to grow, and it's really, it takes longer than 1 weekend to make transformation. And so this system that we use, you start with a book, and then start recognizing that you want to sort of do the exercises in there, what I call the extraordinary power process in there. You want to do that on a regular basis so that your consciousness doesn't fall back into the old patterns. And so we have everybody come back in the next. So each class is a chakra. Each class is a different profile. Each one awakens in a very specific order your consciousness, and all transformation runs from the first chakra to the 7th chakra. And so when you practice that over a year, where you just systematically work, remember that any block in any chakra leaves you stuck. So energy trying to liberate itself from your unconscious down below comes up and hits that chakra and goes back down into unconscious behavior. Anything that comes down from on top and you have a great idea comes down, hits that same block in a chakra and goes back up and just spins around in your head some more. So if you can't get the energy from up above, from the top all the way down to the ground, or from the ground all the way up to the top, you can't make transformation. So people get stuck in this striving to make transformation, but never actually doing it. And so I found that it's actually a 1 year at a time training. It's 3 modules, but a full year of really step by step walking through it is how you make permanent transformation and change in your life.
So, Rhys, because I cannot believe how quickly this show has flown by. Time is almost up, and so I do want to make sure that people know how to get your book and how to get in touch with you. So you have 2 websites. Can you share those very quickly?
Sure. Actually, the most important website is Rhys, which is RHYS, Thomas Institute. .com, and you can go to that website and get everything there as far as the profile assessments and products and things like that. And then the page for the book for Discover Your Purpose, the book, is discoveryourpurposebook.com. And you can certainly buy the book on Amazon if you'd like. But if you go to discoveryourpurposebook.com, you can buy the book, and you will also get a membership site and some video and a keynote speech that I give about the profiles, which really give you a sort of a leg up on the reading.
That is great. What I like about your book is that it goes beyond your title of just discovering the purpose. Like you said, you've got these great processes, you've got meditations. People can even download meditations that are pre-recorded from links that you've included in your book. Great exercises and wonderful, brilliant insights into each one of those individual life profiles, and empowers the reader to begin to make some really wonderful transformative change from what you've provided. So kudos to you for doing that. So what would you like to leave those that are listening to this show with in terms of, like, say you had one big epiphany or maybe even your top three that you would like to share with those who are listening about what is most valuable for them to gain in their life? We have 60 seconds, I've just found out.
Okay. All right. So I won't get all three in, but really this concept of finding your purpose is, when I started writing the book, I looked up on Amazon how many books talk about finding your life purpose, and there were 150,000 books on life purpose, and I was thinking, oh my God, people must understand it. But when I learned about this system, which was developed originally back in the 20s by two brilliant men who were psychiatrists back then.
We got 10 seconds.
Yep. So anyway, so finding out who you are is really a matter of feeling